In this episode, I want to give you an overview of intermittent fasting and what it's like to embrace that as a healthy lifestyle. We're going to talk about the different types of fasts and how to implement those fasts and some of the drawbacks to fasting and how we can get over some of the challenges to implementing a fasting lifestyle. Welcome to the Christian Healthy Lifestyle Podcast, where I help Christians over 40 maximize their health potential so they can age gracefully, live abundantly, and be thoroughly equipped for every good work. I'm your host, David Sandstrom, naturopathic doctor and biblical health coach, and this is episode number 149. Hey, Dave Sandstrom here. I'm starting something new and I need your help. I'm going to be doing lifestyle audit episodes. Would you like to be on the show with me? You tell me what your pain point is, and I'll offer my advice. There's no charge. You'll be helping me create some great content for the show. When you're done listening to this episode, go to christianhealthylifestyle.com/audit, answer a few questions, and you'll be good to go. I look forward to hearing from you. In this episode, I want to give you an overview of intermittent fasting and what it's like to embrace that as a healthy lifestyle. And if you haven't, this is part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1 of this fasting episode series, that's episode number 148. You may want to go back and listen to that one right now. But you don't have to. This is a standalone episode. You can listen to this one in its entirety. And if you feel like it, go back and listen to that one later. So it doesn't really matter the order you listen to them in. But I talked about in the last episode how important it is to develop our spiritual strength, mental, emotional fortitude, and physical vitality through the practice of intermittent fasting. Now, it's important to understand the different types of fasting that are available, because even though we're all similar, we're created by God as individuals. We truly are fearfully and wonderfully made. And there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all approach. You're going to have to experiment and try some of these on for size and see which one you think is a good fit for you. One of the things I want to mention up front, someone listening might be thinking right now, well, fasting, that sounds a little radical. What if I start losing muscle? I mean, I'm getting up there in years and I want to preserve the muscle that I have. Or maybe you're younger and you say, well, I'm trying to build muscle. So yes, we all want to maintain our muscle mass for sure. This is a very important part of a healthy lifestyle. But if you're embracing a fasting lifestyle, as I'm about to recommend, you don't have to worry about losing muscle. Unless you're doing an extended fast, like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks even. If you have a serious medical condition, you might want to consider doing something like that. And in that case, you would need to be supervised by a doctor. But that's not what we're talking about here in this episode. We're talking about a way to just embrace intermittent fasting or short-term and long-term fast as a healthy lifestyle. And once you do that, you're going to find that although your muscles might appear smaller, they're really not, because what you're losing is water weight. And your muscles are actually in a much better position to rebuild and grow more rapidly after a fast. Your muscles are prepared to take up nutrients and rebuild in a much more efficient fashion after a fast. So the opposite is actually true. You won't be losing muscle by fasting. You'll actually make it easier for your body to maintain or gain muscle. So let's set that to rest right now. Now, here's an important point to consider. Men and women are different when it comes to fasting for sure. Men are pretty simple. We produce steroidal hormones, but the primary one men function on is testosterone. And testosterone levels in a man stay relatively constant throughout the month. So a man can jump into or out of a fast much more easily than a woman can. Women are a little more complicated. They have 3 steroidal hormones they have to worry about: estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Yes, women produce testosterone as well. And if you're a woman who's still ovulating, you've got to be concerned about days 20 through 28 of your cycle. Women should not fast then. That would be the week prior to the start of their period. Now, progesterone levels are elevated during that week. So that's the time that you want to slow down, take care of yourself, do a little self-care. I like what Dr. Mindy Pelz calls this. She wrote a book called Fast Like a Girl. It's a great read. You might want to pick it up and read it. I'll put a link in the show notes. But anyway, Dr. Mindy Pelz calls this the nurture phase. This is a time when you want to get a little selfish and do a little self-care and pull back and not stress yourself out too much, because your body is busy, is hard at work producing lots of progesterone. And you shouldn't fast during that period because cortisol is a progesterone antagonist. And because fasting is a stressful event, your body will produce more cortisol and adrenaline, and that will interfere with your body's ability to produce progesterone, which you need during that phase. So your steroidal hormones are going to be out of balance if you fast during that time. So don't recommend fasting that week before the start of your cycle. Days 20 through 28, you don't want to fast. What women do need during that time is more carbohydrates. And you thought you were just weak with getting the sweet cravings during the week before the start of your cycle. You're not weak. That's part of God's design. Your body will give you sweet cravings the week before your cycle starts because it needs that carbohydrate to produce adequate amounts of progesterone. So what you want to do is increase your carbs that week. Now, don't go crazy. This is not time to do, pig out on ice cream and donuts. You want to focus on quality carbohydrates like root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, turnips, those kinds of things, and fruit. Those are good sources of carbohydrate those times. And you could have an occasional bowl of ice cream. Just don't go crazy with it. So there's a few things to consider before anyone starts a fast. The first thing you want to do is clean up your eating. You want to eat clean. You want to be focusing on quality, nutrient-dense foods because when you're fasting, you're tapping into your nutrient reserves, and you want to have those reserves built up prior to starting the fast. Now, don't think that you can out-fast a bad diet. That's not true. You've probably heard people say you can't out-exercise a bad diet. Well, you can't out-fast a bad diet either. Okay, it's not a replacement for a bad diet. You want to be eating well, especially if you're going to be practicing a fasting lifestyle, because you're going to be drawing on those nutrient reserves. Now, if you want to know what a clean diet looks like, listen to episodes 137 and 138 of this show, and I talk about plant-based diets versus animal-based diets, and I contrast the two, and I give you my recommendations as to what I think a healthy diet looks like. So real quick, what you want to do is eliminate processed foods, stay away from restaurants, stay away from seed oils, and cut back on the processed sugar. You want to be focusing on nutrient-dense foods, and organ meats from pastured animals are some of the most nutrient-dense foods we can find. Liver would be a great thing to have. Another thing you want to do when you're preparing for a fast, diet-wise, is focus on the precursors that your body needs to make glutathione. Now, glutathione is a protein that acts as a powerful antioxidant. In fact, it's the most powerful antioxidant the body has. But it's very, very difficult to get glutathione from your diet because even if you take it in supplement form, when you eat it, it gets diluted by the stomach acid during the digestive process. So you want to give your body the raw material to make glutathione, and that would be the amino acids methionine and cysteine. Now, where do you find those? Well, quality meat and organs. You can find those in A2 milk. Now, most milk has A1, A2 protein. If you can find an A2 dairy source, that'll be better for your body's ability to produce glutathione. It's also easier to digest. You can also find methionine and cysteine in high amounts in whey protein. So if you want a quality source of protein, go to my website, davidsandstrom.com/Fullscript. Create an account there. You can get quality protein there from Fullscript. They have hundreds of quality manufacturers and thousands of products, and they have some really good whey protein there. You should be choosing whey protein isolate as opposed to concentrate. It's better quality. And I have a protocol on Fullscript that you can see once you join that gives you some of the supplements that I recommend during a fast. And by creating an account with my link on Fullscript, you'll lock in a 10% discount for life. It's a win-win. Also, you should be eating antioxidant-rich foods like colorful berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, those kinds of things, very high in antioxidants. Also, a quality olive oil will be high in polyphenol antioxidants as well. But quality olive oils are hard to find. You've got to get a good quality source, and it's very difficult. If you're not spending $40, $45 a bottle, you're probably getting olive oil that's adulterated with seed oils. So be careful there. If you really want to supercharge your antioxidant defenses, get some sublingual glutathione from Quicksilver Scientific on Fullscript. It's a great product. It goes under the tongue, and it'll bypass the digestive process, and that way your body is it's in a usable form for your body, ready to use. So remember, when you get started, experiment with these, try out a couple different types of fast, and figure out which one is best for you. So the first diet we're going to talk about is the Daniel diet. A lot of Christians, believers have heard of this. Maybe their church has done a church-wide Daniel diet. A lot of people have heard of this. And basically the Daniel diet is eating vegetarian or vegan for 21 days. Also, no alcohol, no refined sugars. A lot of people will go no dairy or no grains, and no processed food, as well as limit your butter intake as well, because it's high in fat. Now, the pros to this are, a lot of people have heard it. You might be able to do it with a friend or with a group, and you can experience community by doing a fast this way. It's also less expensive than eating meat. Now, I don't recommend a Daniel diet on a regular basis because you can really run into some problems on a vegetarian diet. Again, listen to my episodes 137 and 138, and I talk about vegetarianism versus a plant-based versus an animal-based diet. So the cons here are you're going to get out of balance in your macronutrient ratios eating this way. You have little to no complete protein sources in a vegetarian diet, and you're going to be very low fat. So the only macronutrient that's left is carbohydrates. And because you're going to be low in protein and low in fat, if you work really hard at vegetarian, you can get some protein in there, and by combining foods, get a complete protein. But it's difficult. So what people end up doing is they end up carb loading up on carbs, and that's not good. People will do things like do carrot juicing during a Daniel diet. Carrot juice tastes delicious, but it's loaded with sugar that way. It's a concentrated source of sugar. You don't really want to be bulking up on carbs on a regular basis. It's not a healthy thing to do. A vegetarian diet will also be lacking in micronutrients, such as vitamin B12, which is very important for nervous system function. And you'll be low in the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. So if you want to do this for a short term, just as a community thing with some friends, go for it. But there are some serious drawbacks to the Daniel diet. And one of the easiest ways to start getting into intermittent fasting would be spontaneous meal skipping. So by doing that, just like it sounds, you'll skip a meal now and then when it's convenient. The pros here are it's natural, it's intuitive, and it's very flexible. And it'll help you reconnect with true hunger cues, and it'll help you to shed the belief that food is needed every couple of hours, which it certainly isn't. The cons here are it'll be very inconsistent. If you don't have a pattern to it, just whenever you feel like it, you're probably going to not do it very often. So you're not going to be doing it on a regular basis. It's going to be very inconsistent. And you're not going to be fasting long enough to get into autophagy or increased BDNF production, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I go into that on the last episode, 148. So if those are strange terms to you, go listen to that episode, and I explain those in detail. Another type of fast is an intermittent daily fast. In an intermittent daily fast, you compress your eating window, maybe 12 hours, or you could go 14-hour fast and then 10 hours of eating window, or a 16-hour fast and then 8 hours of eating window. And the pros here are, this is very, very consistent with our God-given design. No one eats when they're sleeping, right? So by design, we can see that God designed our bodies to take a break from food, and doing an intermittent daily fast is a good way to do that. Another pro here is it's very sustainable. This you can do for the long haul. It'll help you be more mindful with your eating, and it's pretty easy, relatively easy to implement. The cons to implementing a compressed eating window would be you could be hungry when you start out at first, but your body will adapt to that. That wouldn't last forever. And one last thing I want to say about a compressed eating window is choose your time of the evening to stop eating. You want to stop eating at least 3 hours before bed, and that's a good habit for anybody. But if you're going to do a compressed eating window, you want to make sure that you're not going to have any food within 3 hours of bedtime. Another fast is the 24-hour fast. So let's say you fast from dinner one evening and you don't eat until dinner the next day. Now, the pros here are you don't have to go a full day without eating. Every day you'll have some food, so that's an encouragement. And this is probably a really good place to start if you're just starting out with fasting, because you can look forward to that meal. If you're going to eat, if your first meal is going to be dinner, you can be looking forward to that during the day. It's kind of easy, a little bit less of a mental hurdle to get over. Thinking about going a full day without eating is a little bit more of a challenge when you start out. As you get going, when you build your fasting muscle, you'll be able to do a full day very, very easily. 24-hour fasting will have very little disruption to your normal eating pattern. You can take advantage of a lot of this 24 hours while you're sleeping. So, no one's hungry or trying to eat when they're sleeping. That's a good way to knock out, 8 or 9 hours out of that 24. You do it while you're sleeping. It's no trouble at all. Another pro here is it's very flexible. It's easy to adjust if you prefer to skip breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner. It's up to you. You can be flexible with it. And you're fasting long enough to promote cellular repair processes like autophagy and BDNF for the brain function. Now, the cons here are when you first start out, you could be a little hungry and a little irritable the first day. It's going to take a little planning. If a friend wants to have lunch that day, you're going to have to tell them no, plan around that. And you do have a potential to develop some hunger, headaches, and irritability when you first enter a fast. And you could feel that when you first start out here. But those are not major hurdles. They're definitely manageable. Another type of fast is alternate day fasting. And the definition of that is we fast every other day. We eat one day, fast the next, and then go back and forth, and we cycle back and forth. Now, the pros here are you can rip off some serious weight this way, but it is a calorie restrictive diet. You can't make up for that day without eating on the next day. So you're going to be restricting calories, which I don't recommend over the long haul. It's not a good idea. In the near future, I'm going to be doing a whole episode on why we should not restrict calories. It's not a healthy practice. It's not in alignment with our God-given design. Another advantage to alternate day fasting is you will be cycling in and out of burning carbs for fuel and fat for fuel, and you will enhance your metabolic flexibility. So if you wanted to jumpstart your metabolic flexibility, this could be a good way to go. It's also been shown to improve cardiovascular health markers. So there are some advantages here, but it's difficult to implement, and it can lead to excessive hunger on your fasting days because the first day of your fast is the toughest day. So if you're always going to be doing the first day of fasting, that's the most difficult day. So it's a tough one to do. Alternate day is difficult. And then there's the weekly fast of a 5-2 or a 6-1, where you eat normally for 5 days and then fast for 2, or eat normally for 6 and then fast for 1. Now, with the 5-2 or the 6-1 fast, you don't have to fast completely from food. You could severely restrict calories on those fasting days, and you'll still be in a fasted state. It does work that way. The advantages here are it allows for normal eating most of the time, and you can definitely increase your insulin sensitivity this way. It can lead to rapid weight loss, but I don't recommend using fasting for weight loss. As I mentioned in the last episode, we don't lose weight in order to get healthy. We get healthy in order to lose weight, because someone who is healthy doesn't struggle with their weight. All right, a healthy person will maintain an ideal weight just by default. Our bodies know how to do that. Now, one of the cons here is if you are going to be consuming some food on your fasting days, you're going to have to count the calories, and that's a chore. I don't recommend that. Another fast that we should talk about is OMAD. OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. And that's where you consume all your calories in a single meal. Now, there are some pros here. It simplifies your meal planning process and your meal preparation. It will save you money more than likely because you're not going to be eating as much food in one meal as you could in 3 regular meals. It's just pretty close to impossible to do that, which is one of the drawbacks. You're probably not going to consume enough calories this way. Another one of the pros here is it leads to better insulin sensitivity, which is obviously always a good thing. But the biggest con here is it's very difficult to get all the nutrition you need to have all your nutrition requirements met in a single meal per day. It's very, very difficult to sustain the OMAD diet. Short term, maybe. Long term, probably not. Another diet that's similar to OMAD is the warrior diet, where during the day, breakfast and lunch, you would consume very, very light snacks, maybe vegetables, just something light to get you through the day, and then eat a full meal at dinner, eating all you want there. And the pros here are this can be in sync with our circadian rhythm. That's a good thing. And it can improve, for some people, it can improve their mental focus and productivity, a little bit less fatigue in the afternoon when you have a lighter lunch. That's a pretty common response. The biggest con here is you're probably going to be not getting enough nutrients. You're going to have develop some serious nutrient deficiencies by eating this way. I wouldn't recommend the warrior diet for any kind of an extended period of time. So those are all the short-term fasts. Now let's talk about a couple of the long-term fasts. And I would define a short-term fast as less than 24 hours, and a long-term fast would be 24 hours or longer. There's different ways to do this. You can do a 24-hour fast. You could do a 48-hour. You could do a 72-hour. My personal preference for fasting is to do the 72-hour or 3-day fast once a month or maybe once a quarter. And I find this to be extraordinarily effective, and you really reap a lot of benefits this way. This is my preferred method of fasting. Now, the pros here is a long list. Your hunger goes away after the first day. The first day is challenging. Yes, you will be hungry. You're going to be thinking about food. But after the second day, or after the first day, on the second day, that hunger will go away and your body will start producing ketones. You'll have more mental clarity. You'll have better mood. I experience a very chilled out feeling. I have a lot more patience during that time. And it's much more enjoyable to fast this way. The second and third day of a 3-day fast is actually quite enjoyable. I enjoy mental peace and emotional stability that I don't get when I'm eating. It's really nice. And I take that mental clarity and I take that extra time that I have that I'm not using to prepare meals, and I spend more time in prayer and Bible study. And I find my prayer and Bible study time just gets supercharged on a fast. It's an incredible way to just clear out the static between you and God. If I need to hear God's voice or I have a big decision coming up, I will fast and pray, spend some extra time in His Word, and I found that to be very, very productive. It's an excellent spiritual practice. Another thing that's very positive about doing a 3-day fast is you'll save time from meal preparation and you'll save money. You're not spending any money on food for 3 days. That's actually significant savings. Another big advantage here is after the first day, your body will kick into ketone production, and that gets maximized in the second and third day. And that's very, very useful. Great for brain health. Your body will be converting fat into fuel. It enhances your metabolic flexibility. A lot of great things going on here. And another huge benefit is you've got some serious time to get into some autophagy and BDNF production. So the body can do all kinds of resets and repairs during this time, and you're giving your body time to do that. On a previous episode 102, I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Chris Gibson, and he wrote a book called Acne Free in 3 Days. He had a lifelong struggle with acne, and he decided to do a 3-day fast, and that cleared up his acne completely. I mean, he'd been to one doctor after another, dermatologist, you name it. No one had any cures for his acne. All they had was Band-Aid approaches with medications. He did a 3-day fast, and his acne left and never came back. So the body can do all kinds of resets during a 3-day fast. Now, the cons here is it can seem daunting. 3 days without food, man, that's going to be tough. But it's really not. It seems that way. But I'm telling you, when you get into this, if you build up to it, I wouldn't recommend this to start, but build up to this, and I think you'll really find this quite enjoyable. I like to do a 3-day fast once a month, once every other month, or maybe at the longest duration, once a quarter. And I found this to be extraordinarily effective. It's just a great way to build health. Now, some of the cons here are, with a longer fast, you're going to need to supplement with some type of electrolytes. Again, you can create an account on Fullscript, get some great quality supplements. You can see my fasting protocol there as well. So some of the potential roadblocks to implementing any of these methods is when you first start out, you're going to experience some hunger. You very well could be irritable. You may have some headaches, and you're going to have some reduced stamina, particularly over the longer term fast. Not that you'll have less energy. You'll have better energy on days 2 and 3 of a 3-day fast. But you will have less stamina. You don't want to plan a 5K run on day 3 of a 3-day fast. That wouldn't be a good idea because you'll kind of hit the wall. And another drawback to the longer term fast is you could experience what we call a Herxheimer reaction. That's a detox reaction. Some people call it the keto flu. And that's where you actually feel like you have the flu. You may have body aches. You may have some nasal congestion, watery eyes, sluggishness, lethargy, and those kinds of things. If that happens, you're going to want to stop the fast and get back into a regular eating, and then you can reintroduce the fast later. Now, there are ways to prevent that, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's ways of detoxifying the body that will prevent that. So let's talk about some of the best practices when it comes to implementing a fasting lifestyle. You want to include your loved ones in your plan. Tell them about what you're planning on doing. Tell them, what type of fast you're going to execute, and explain to them why you're doing it, what the benefits are. You're going to be building health along the way, and a healthier person is going to be more patient, more loving, more kind, and you should be emphasizing all that and say, I'm going to be in a better place to serve you because I'm going through this, but I could use your support while I do. And if they understand why you're doing it, I think they'd be much more supportive along the way. And if you get them to do it along with you, all the better. Now, you want to focus on eating well before starting a fast. Focus on cleaning up your diet with quality foods. Plan for low activity and a little extra sleep during a fast. You will appreciate that, and your body will be ready for a little extra sleep during a fast, particularly the longer term fast. Stay hydrated. Now, normally, I recommend consuming half your body weight in ounces per day for water, good, clean, filtered water. Spring water is best. During a fast, you want to double that because your body's going to be busy detoxifying from all kinds of things, and you need water to help flush those toxins out. You need a little extra water. And especially with the longer term fast, like greater than 24 hours, you want to supplement with some electrolytes. Make sure you're getting adequate amounts of sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Those are the important electrolytes. Your requirement for electrolytes will go up when you're fasting. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just to have some bone broth. Get some organic bone broth, or better yet, make it yourself. It's loaded with all kinds of minerals, but it'll have sodium, magnesium, potassium in there, and that's very useful during a fast. And by eating bone broth, by consuming bone broth, you won't break your fast. That will not break your fast that way. You'll still be in ketosis and won't have any problem, cycling out of ketosis with bone broth. Another good way to get electrolytes while you're fasting is put some Himalayan salt in your water. I would recommend a quarter to a half a teaspoon in a half a gallon of water. That should do it, and consume that throughout the day, and you'll be getting a lot more electrolytes that way. But if you want to go all out on this, go to my website, use my Fullscript link, and I've got some products on there that I recommend for fasting. It's a great way to go. So for long-term fasts, greater than 24 hours, we want to do some detoxification. One of the simplest ways to start detoxifying would be to get a dry skin brush and do some dry skin brushing. You can pick those brushes up at pretty much any health food store. Whole Foods has them, and you just kind of rub it, circular motion in various parts of your body, especially under your arms, near your inside of your thigh. You have a lot of lymph nodes, and by brushing in that fashion, you'll be stimulating lymph fluid movement, which is really, really good for detoxifying. Lymph fluid movement is the key to an effective detox. Another way to detox was be doing Epsom salt bath. Just get in a warm bath, throw a bunch of Epsom salt in there. That will help remove toxins. Another way you can do it is get a castor oil pack and place it over your liver. And that will stimulate the liver to start releasing toxins. That's useful as well. You can do some stretching. Stretching will help move lymph fluid. You can walk. Highly recommend walking during a fast. It's a great thing to do. Get your lymph fluid moving, get your body moving. Very effective. Another effective way to get lymph fluid moving would be to use a trampoline. If you have an outdoor trampoline, great. If you have an indoor one, a mini trampoline inside, that's a very effective way to move lymph fluid. But my favorite way to get lymph fluid moving is to use a Qi machine. Now, I've had my Qi machine for years. If you've never heard of it, it's called CHI, Qi machine. And what you do is you lay down on the floor and you put your ankles up in this machine, and it elevates your feet off the floor, maybe, 8, 10, 12 inches off the floor. And it swings your ankles back and forth, and your body starts to swing with this like fish-like motion. And it's a very effective way to use gravity to get the lymph fluid moving as well as body movement with zero impact. And it's a super efficient way to get lymph fluid moving. If you want to see what one looks like, or you want to pick one up, go to my website, christianhealthylifestyle.com or davidsandstrom.com/resources, and you'll see the Qi machine there. It's a highly recommended device. And if you're going to be doing a fasting lifestyle, I recommend picking one up. Another way to detox is going in a sauna. You'll sweat out a lot of toxins in the sauna, very effective. And another super effective way is doing a coffee enema. Now, if you've experienced a Herxheimer reaction before, you know what it feels like. It's no fun. The keto flu, it is no fun. I would venture to say that you can virtually eliminate having a Herx by doing a coffee enema each day that you fast. Coffee enemas are super effective at stimulating the liver to release toxins, and there's a portal vein between the liver and the large intestine that those toxins will be dumped into the colon for quick and easy removal, and it's a really effective way to detox. I know it sounds silly, but don't knock it until you try it. If you're doing a fast, 2 or 3 day fast, extended fast, I highly recommend doing a coffee enema every day you do it, and you will be glad you did. And if you've done all that and you still want to supercharge your detox capabilities even more, use a product called Push Catch. And it's made by Quicksilver Scientific. I have it on my fasting protocol in Fullscript. It's an excellent way to remove toxins. So we could probably do a whole episode on toxin removal, but that's enough for now. So the last thing I want to talk about here is how do we break a long-term fast? Now, short-term fast, if you only fasted for 10, 12, 14 hours, you don't need to really worry about breaking your fast. Just jump into your regular way of eating. It's fine. It's just fine. But if you've gone 24, 48, 72 hours without eating, your digestive system is pretty much shut down. It's been resting. And just as a pitcher needs to warm up his arm before he starts the game, you're going to want to warm up your digestive system a little bit before you introduce a full meal. So if you've done a long-term fast, the best way to break your fast is with a cup of bone broth, 8 ounces of bone broth. Eat it slowly. It's super easy to digest. Again, loaded with electrolytes that your body will need at that point, as well as a lot of micronutrients. So bone broth is a good way to start. Now, after you eat the bone broth, wait 1 hour and then consume a high probiotic food like sauerkraut, kefir, or yogurt. Kefir is a drinkable yogurt that's fermented milk. And your body is primed and ready to receive those beneficial bacteria from probiotic at this point. And it'll be a way to supercharge the colonization of the beneficial bacteria. So starting off with a good probiotic food, as well as some probiotic supplements, might not be a bad idea when you're breaking your fast. After you've done that, wait another hour and consume some steamed vegetables. Steamed is better than raw at this point because steamed vegetables are easier to digest. And then finally, wait another hour, and then you can start eating regularly. You might want to start off with some eggs or have a meat meal. Don't have a huge meal, but you can eat pretty much your normal way after that. So it's probably going to take you 4 to 6 hours to reintroduce food after an extended fast. Be patient. Don't rush it. If you rush things, you'll be sorry. You're going to pay a price for that. You're going to feel like you have a brick in your stomach. It's not going to feel good. Believe me, I've learned this the hard way. You want to break a long-term fast in a very gradual fashion. So the last thing I want to talk about here with the considerations for fasting is really, really good for spiritual growth and spiritual strength. I can't overemphasize the importance of doing some prayer and meditation and Bible study when you're fasting. This is a great way if you're looking for a spiritual breakthrough, you're looking to hear from God to make a big decision, or you just simply are longing to hear from Him in a personal way. Fasting and praying and meditating on His Word, that is an incredible way to go. So first and foremost, fasting is best done for spiritual strength. And as a side effect, a fringe benefit to pursuing spiritual strength, we get better mental clarity, we get mental emotional fortitude, and we get enhanced physical vitality. God just throws those in just for grins. The Bible says He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And so if we're seeking Him with the right motives and for the right reasons, He just throws in mental emotional fortitude and physical vitality just because He can. So that's my take on that. And don't forget, I need your help creating some episodes. I'm looking for people to come on the show with me and do a lifestyle audit. You tell me what your pain point is, and I'll give you my feedback and get you one step closer to experiencing all the health and vitality you're capable of. There's no charge for this. I enjoy interacting with the Natural Nation. It won't be live, so no pressure there. And an added bonus is you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at the Christian Healthy Lifestyle Studio. For a limited time, I'll send you a copy of my book, The Christian's Guide to Holistic Health, as a thank you. Go to my website, christianhealthylifestyle.com/audit, answer a few questions, and you'll be good to go. I look forward to hearing from you. So if you missed anything, not to worry. I took all the notes for you. They're on the full show notes page at christianhealthylifestyle.com/podcast, and you can find a full transcript there as well as other resources. I hope I've encouraged you to at least try a fasting lifestyle. Try some of these techniques, see which one works for you, start embracing it. It will help you to age gracefully, live more abundantly, and be more thoroughly equipped for every good work. Be sure to check out the next episode. I'm going to be talking with Greg the Hydrogen Man about the health benefits of hydrogen water. It's a great conversation. You don't want to miss it. Next episode. That's it for now. Go out there and live abundantly. May God bless you as you do. I'll talk with you next time. Be blessed.